Hi guys, today we are here to learn about AWS Lambda function URLs. So your web applications basically need to talk with your backend over some APIs. AWS generally provides you two ways to create and use this APIs. One is via the Amazon API gateway and the another one is AWS Lambda function URLs. So today we will be seeing how to create and use APIs with AWS Lambda function URLs. So let's get started. So I'm here at my AWS console. So what I'm going to do is visit the Lambda servers. Now if you see, I already have two functions, hello world demo and web page demo. So right now I'm going to create a new Lambda function for my function URLs demo. I'll name the function as the function URLs demo and I'll choose here Python 3.13. You can choose whichever runtime you want. These things will keep it as default and we will enable the function URL from this additional configurations menu. Now if you see, there are two authentication types. One is the AWS IAM authentication type and one is the none authentication type. So if you select none, your APIs will be publicly accessible over the internet, while if you choose AWS IAM, you need to sign your request with IAM user and role credentials before you send the request. So the rest of the things like invoke mode and the course thing will keep it as default for now. So let's now create a function. So I'll wait for a few minutes for my function to get created. Okay. So this is my function URLs demo lambda. Now if you see, my function URL has been enabled here. So if I click on this function URL, this gives me the default response of hello from lambda. Where is this default response coming from? It's actually from here. So if you see in the starter code for my Lambda function, AWS has already provided this response, and this is what my function URL returns right now. Now let's try to do a little bit advanced thing by utilizing function URLs again. So what we are going to do is we are going to utilize query parameters after this function URL to basically do a calculator sort of operation. So I'll provide three parameters in after my URL, which is the operation, the first value, and the second value. So my operation will be add, subtract, multiply, and delete. Value 1 and value 2 are my operands. So let's try to implement that functionality. So let me just accept the inputs. So the inputs which I provide to the function URL, that will be accepted or that will be available to my Lambda function via this event variable. So let's get the operation from this variable, this event variable. So I'm writing event and then I have to write query string parameters. And inside the query string parameters, since I can have multiple query string parameters, I have to choose which parameter I want. So I'm writing here operation. Now, again, I need to accept two values as part of my operation. So I'll write here value 1, which is again event query string parameters, and the query string parameter which I actually want. So which is value 1, right? Same way I can accept value 2 as well. Okay. So now let's build our operations. So if my operation is add, then I'll add these two values. If my operation is subtract, then I'll have the subtraction. If my operation is multiplication, then I'll do a star or multiply of these two values. If my operation is diff, then I will divide two values. Divide value 1 by value 2 basically. Or else I'll send an invalid operation response. So actually this autocomplete is being enabled by Amazon Q, which is an AI assistant built into the AWS Lambda. So now let me try to send the result of this operation as part of the response. So I'm going to send it as a HTML document for my API call to render it properly as sort of a web page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to encode my or enclose my HTML response within the HTML tags, and within this I'm going to set the body tags. Again, here I'll print calculated result is str result plus this, right? And I'll enclose it in a strong tag also to just highlight my result, right? Okay. So now this is my Lambda function. And since this is an HTML response and we would like to render it in the uh, web page when we trigger this function URL, I'll try to send an header indicating the content type of this body is HTML. So how am I going to do this? Is basically using this header and adding the content type header with the value of text/HTML. Now I am going to deploy these changes. So if you see, I have this changes deployed right now. Lambda has indicated me that it has successfully updated the function. Now what I can do, I can copy this function URL. I can go here and paste the function URL here, right? Now I'll provide few query parameters like operation equals to add and value 1 equals to 2 and value 2 equals to 5. Okay, this is because I've forgotten an L in value 2. Yeah. So my calculated result in case for the addition of 2 and 5 is 7. So this is giving the correct response. Same way, if I do a multiply of 2 into 1, it should give me 2, and so on and so forth. But let me try a different operation like power. So this should give me invalid operation. So my function URL is working as expected and is giving the correct response. And you could do more with the function URLs as well. So you can trigger it for various HTTP methods. So here I am doing a GET request. As you can see I'm triggering it from a browser. But you can use tools like Postman and CURL to do other kinds of HTTP requests as well. And you can also do things like cross-origin resource sharing. You can also pass parameters as part of the event body instead of the query string parameters. So let me just show you what the event variable looks like, and that may help you visualize what you can do with the function URLs. So I'll move one tab here, just a second. So here is the invoking Lambda function URLs documentation by AWS. Now if I go down and show you the request payload format, this is basically what comes inside the event variable when the function URL triggers my Lambda. Okay, so here there are multiple things which we can utilize, like the client or the web browser or Postman or your application can send multiple things to your Lambda function, like the details of the cookies, the headers. So, and there can be query string parameters as we have already seen. The query string parameters are also given in a raw form, just like this. And you can also have things like the IAM authorizer context. So here we had triggered the Lambda function URLs over the internet, but you can also secure it by using IAM authentication. And you can use different HTTP methods like I had already said. And also you can pass the parameters in your request body instead of sending it as a query string, right? So this is how you can utilize Lambda function URLs, or you can send a request to Lambda function URLs. Now on the response side of things, if you see, you can send a status code back. You can send custom headers as well as regular headers in the response. You can also utilize cookies. You can send the body with the information you'd like, right? So this is it for this demo. I hope you liked it. Thank you very much. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe.